Good afternoon. My name is Mauricio. I am a CSA for Efficient IP, and I'm going to be going through our product here, Solid Server. And I will go through everything that the product has to offer, not only what you're looking at, maybe. I might tick some boxes here and there. Please let me know so we can engage in a conversation and make this interactive. Like I said, this is our DDI platform. It's a it's an appliance based solution. We can have it as a VM. We can have it in Google and Azure and AWS. We also have it in an ISO. You can install it bare metal or any hypervisor of your choosing. We are a software company, so the flexibility and intent to install this anywhere is in our DNA. This is a web front end. This is how you're going to manage your platform. We don't have any dependency on any client or anything like that. Any browser will do just fine. The feel and layout of the product is the same. The product has been developed in-house, and no matter what module you're on, you're gonna have the same feeling. For example, if you go to IPAM, I'll give you an example. You have a couple of options here. This is our main menu, and then this here is our breadcrumb. And it tells you where you're at in the network. So I'm going to click something here. I'm going to go into more details about what's a space, pools, and such in a minute. But as you can see, I am in all networks right now inside of the space called demo. But I have other options here. I can see all pools that have been created and all addresses. If you go to the HCP, you will have exactly the same feeling. So if you go to all groups, then you have other options, all statics, stuff like that. You know where you're at and where you came from, basically. So this is a great tool, something that I think is set us apart uh, from the competition. So like I said, we are a software company. Everything that you see in these modules, including the main product, are basically API calls, which make us a very flexible API platform inbound and outbound. We use SOAP XML, REST-like and RESTful API. In the center of our universe is definitely DDI, IPAM, DHCP, and DNS. We have a special connection with IPAM. We started as an IPAM company solution, right? And and everything that has been created are building blocks, right? That they feed information into IPAM. So if I go inside of Spaces, you're going to see a bunch of information here, but you can also add more stuff from other modules even. Um, I'll give an example. We have a module here that is called NetChange. And NetChange is our SNMP solution, and then you connect to a bunch of devices, routers, and switches, and you pull information. We have the MIPS for it, and we pull a number of things, and then we feed that into IPAM. So then you can go here to this button here, and then select what information you want to have. Now that I'm here, I want to cover this real quick. This is something that we call, right now, you're looking at a default, as you can see here, default listing template. Depending on what is your role inside of the organization you're working for, you can go ahead and create a specific list in templates. For example, I'm going to go ahead and create a new template. And then if I click next here, I'm going to just give it a free and friendly name. And then, all right, I'll take this off, It doesn't like dash name. And then as soon as I click next, then I'm gonna be able to select a number of things that I wanted to exist in this template. Those are fields that will show up here whenever you log in and you select your listing template. Then all that will be pre-populated by default. As soon as you do that, you can, have it, the parent level can be the space or can be the network. It's up to you. Right now, I don't have any classes defined yet, but the main idea is that whenever you have a listing template, you will be able to select here things, and those options will be available to you for more visibility. This is how you start seeing, one of those things, one of those fields. It'll be the differentiator between maybe a senior network engineer or one of the IPAM administrator. Maybe they're looking for different things, so you're able to select, pick and choose here. What is it going to be, um, that is going to give you the best view. And that's one of the ways you can start seeing how DHCP, DNS, other modules, NetChange, DHCP, DNS, they feed information inside of IPAM to give you a very um, current, relevant, updated, view of your network. We have role-based authentication, and we do it externally through Active Directory, LDAP, or Radius. You also have OpenID Connect. So if you want to do single sign-on or Okta or Duo, you can also mix them up. You have local users too that you can give them specific roles if you want to. I want to go inside now of our IPAM module. So this here, everything starts here with the first option here, which is spaces. And spaces are basically, you can think of it as a bucket or an island. Is the most relevant segmentation inside of the IPAM database that we have. We can enforce segmentation for different reasons, like overlapping IPs, different regions, um, external versus internal addresses, or on-premise versus cloud. You can have as many as you want, but you have to have at least one. Here, I unfortunately have only two. And then as soon as you click inside of your space, then you will see immediately your hierarchical view of your space. The next segmentation level that you're going to deal with is going to be um, a, a block. And a block is a bucket of continuous address space. You can see here that is a /16. So this is a space is a supernet, and you can see that it has kind of an X here. And you can see the levels here too. So you can correlate this to your level and you know exactly where you're at. Anything that is 0 and 1, 0 is a space, 1 is it's a block, and then you have non-terminal and terminal networks. Okay, so so you have your block here, which is a bucket of continuous address space, and then you have non-terminal. Non-terminal is basically a child block. It's just to give you another tool. So let's say that your space here is everything inside of your cloud environment, right? But then you have specific blocks for Azure and AWS. And then inside of Azure AWS, you have specific VPCs that you want to play with, for example, just to give you an example. And then inside of your VPCs, then you have terminal networks or /24. These are going to be the ones that are going to be facing your VMs and such. Um, Something I wanted to point out here is that you have this option here, for example, used IP. This field is giving you how much of your terminal network. This is another way you can know. It gives you a hint as to what are you dealing with right now. So right now you're working in the terminal network, then you're going to know it right away because it has a used IP field, and it'll give you a bar to let you know how many IPs are being reserved or used in this network. But then, as you can see here, this other segmentation levels, they don't have the used IP field just because, again, they have either allocated percent or network used, because in those cases, those fields um, apply, right? I want to point out, definitely want to point out that if you go inside of any of these terminal networks, you will have an option here. You know, you have an opportunity to create the FQDN, but also the DNS module. In the DNS module, you have the flexibility of creating a record inside of the DNS module, and we will also reserve. So if you go to DNS and you create a record, it'll make the reservation inside of IPAM. But the way we like to do things is, since everything starts with an IP, your operational activities, right? You go select your subnet that you want to work with, and as soon as you click one of those IPs that you want to reserve for whatever reason, you give it a name, of course, testing. You have the possibility or the option here to use advanced. We call it advanced properties, because you're able to create, set up your DNS information right away, and if it is part of a scope, you can add DHCP as a static tail. So you can see how the interaction between IPAM and other modules, they become apparent here. And then you just keep, you decide what type of record you want to create, or if it's going to be an A record, or if you want to add an alias, then you do it here too. So very good for keeping that consistency that we talked about. I want to mention it again. We have the listen templates, like I said, but we also have, in case that you wanted to, let's say that you want to, whenever you create an IP, you want to have a custom metadata that you want to work with, right? You want to create it, then you go here, and you can add what type of metadata is going to be. Is it going to be a hidden data, or maybe auto completion? Then you do, you select exactly what is it that you want to implement here. Is it going to be a timestamp? Then you can do this, and then you can create a basically a command here that will instruct what type of timestamp you want to put in place here. You can also work, any of this fields that you have here, you can mix and match. For example, you can do, if you want to do here, if I do type regular, and then I hit enter, then everything that is regular is going to be shown to me immediately, right? If I click the X, everything goes back again to where it was. If I want to use here, for example, if I want to see all the free IPs, then I just do that, put that in place here. Something, maybe I'm not, let's see. Ooh. Okay, so that's not working.